Alright guys, what's up? This one I am quite literally thrilled to be doing. And I'm not kidding about that. This is one that I have looked forward to talking about for a while now. And I finally got one. Let's talk about ScareGlow. So a little bit of background. What's going on here? Of course you all know that I got into MOTU, if you followed this long enough anyway, and of course I'll put it in the annotations or something like that, there'll be the playlist, or if you just wait to the very end of the video, if this is a MOTU video, then there'll be a MOTU playlist and so on and so forth, if you ever want to hear everything I've ever said on a Star Wars subject after hearing me talk about a Star Wars figure or something like that, then of course at the end of a video I'll always have the playlist. That's pretty much how I handle that kind of stuff, is at the end of the videos. If you haven't been starting to notice that, that's how I do that. I like to kind of add the playlist where this is going to go to, and then I, of course, do the most recent video and things like that. But this guy right here, I missed out on. I missed out on him for two reasons. One, because when I was a kid, I was not into MOTU at all. Then later on in my life, I was not into MOTU. Or rather, I was, but very indirectly. And if you have any interest in that whatsoever, there's a video that literally talks about what kept me out of MOTU, but how I was indirectly linked to it pretty much my entire life. So, this guy right here, I think is one of the coolest characters of all of MOTU. But by the time I got into this line, by the time I started buying Origins, we were already past this line. I did not see Orko anywhere. He simply didn't exist in my area. I didn't see Manny Faces, I didn't see Trapjaw, and I didn't see ScareGlow. And I had to, while I could find the first two Skeletor and He-Man, I could not find the second Skeletor and He-Man. I had to literally get online to get them. And that's been another thing this whole year, was that getting into MOTU opened me up to doing online shopping. Online shopping was never a thing that I was interested in my past. I've had no luck with it and no desire for it my entire life. I've been pretty off about the whole getting online thing to buy stuff. I like to go to actual shops, and I like to see it in person, and I like to know what I'm getting, and I like to guarantee the paint op and stuff like that. I like to know what I'm buying, but let's be honest here. Toy hunting, if I went by my area alone, I not way too long ago got all 4 Ghostbusters. And I had no choice but to go online to get all 4 of them. See, at a comic shop that I go to on the normal, until it was just, sorry, a toy shop. It's not a comic shop, it was a toy shop exclusively. Every now and then it would sell comic book related materials, but it was a toy shop. That place shut down very recently, and when it did, it took one of the Ghostbusters with them, Ray. They had like 4 of them on their shelves, and they only ever had Ray. Then, also out in the wild, literally last night, I found Venkman. That's it. Those are the only 2 I have ever seen here. See, toys in my area, for whatever reason, sell very well. I don't know if there's a huge scalper market, or if it's just a lot of kids in this area still are very interested in toys. I don't know. But I will say that lately that I've really come out with this full storm, and I've even, I've got it, I'm doing the videos and everything like that, and I'm just 100% diving in and talking about my collection and things like that, and really jumping into the adult collector stuff in general at a higher level. I've always done this. As you can tell, I've accumulated over the years. I've always been an adult collector, but I've never been like a serious out there 100% putting myself out doing major extreme hunts kind of toy collector. I've been the kind of person that if I happen to be out and about, I always check the toy aisle, and if I find something cool, I get it. But I'm not hunting to complete, and I'm not trying to get sets. I've never been that person. I only really jumped into looking for things recently, like really being determined to finish certain sets. And it was because of that I came across a lot of people recently that every time I'm in the toy aisles in Target or Walmart, I'll come across 2 or 3 other adults that I'll notice immediately, that guy's a collector. He's here for a reason. And I'll say, "What you hunting for?" And he'll immediately, it's like he's never had a chance to really talk to one either, because these guys will turn around like, "Sorry, what are you hunting for? What are you checking out?" Oh, I'm checking out the McFarlane line, or I'm looking for this, or I was hoping that I'd come in here and they'd have the classifieds all the time, all of a sudden. So I know that toys sell ridiculously well in my area, and that makes it hard to hunt down certain things. And then, I also know that the distribution of figures, especially this wave for our areas, were abysmal. So by the time I got in, this wasn't even an option. Then, this 40th anniversary thing hits. And all of a sudden, there's like a complete restock of these guys that went to Targets all over the place. And I said, I gotta try my luck. Went to the first Target. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Went to the second Target. Found Manny Faces and him. Excuse me. I'm not a huge fan of Manny Faces. As you've seen with the kind of stuff that I collect, the kind of stuff that interests me in this line, I like it to be what I like it to be, and Manny Faces just doesn't excite me at all. So I don't know, unless there's a specific reason for me to go after him, I'm not going to. But I was hoping to find Trapjaw and Orko, and I did not. But I did find him, and that's the reason I found him recently, was only because of this re-release of the 40th thing. Now, as you could see, the artwork, once again, is fantastic. It always is. And the artwork that I'll be keeping this time says, "A walking horror from a different dimension, ScareGlow radiates fear and terrifies his victims." Awesome. That brings us to almost the quintessential reason I really, really like this guy. But let's go ahead and open him up and get my first impressions. Okay, so first off, let me just say that this was the biggest pain in the ass to get out of the packaging that I have encountered so far. And right off the bat, I'm happy to have him, but I did notice his top is very flingy. Woo! This guy do the twist. And I'm pretty sure that's not necessarily normal, because let me just take him. No, it's not normal. The other guys have a little bit of resistance in their bodies. This dude just kind of, woo! But whatever, it doesn't look like it's going to affect him. His legs, knees seem right. His elbow joints, wrists, everything else seems right. So I'm not going to complain. But man, this cape thing, okay? It's not cloth. It's like a rubberish material. And it was really, really in there in an awkward way that made him like difficult to get out of there. I'm pretty sure his weapon is glow in the dark. And I know he is glow in the dark. Now, my other impressions of this dude in general are simple. I like that he has the crack on his head. I think that's really cool. Otherwise, he's just a skeleton dude. But skeleton dudes are cool. And skeleton fear wraith dudes are really cool. And let's just get this out of here real quick. This dude I like so much without even being a general He-Man fan originally. You get the idea that I'm really just getting into all this the way that I am, but I've always liked barbarians and things of that nature, and fear wraiths are awesome. I have utilized them in multiple D&D campaigns, so to see one in the MOTU universe, like a full-on 100% fear wraith, a creature that is a skeleton that glows with evil energy, that has a crazy halberd-esque weapon thing, halberd scythe thing, that is literally, like I said, glows with evil energy and is 100% feeding on fear. That takes him back to, one, being a fear wraith, which I said, which I have used in multiple campaigns, and even currently, in my most current D&D campaign, used very recently against the, not against, because you're not against your players in D&D. I don't do a whole lot of D&D videos here, but I will say that that's a thing that I'm 100% on board, is that your job as the DM is to tell stories and to get your party involved in the story that's going on and make them care about the side characters, the areas that they end up in, the situations that are taking place, by making them interact with the world that you are creating. It's your job to tell a story and enjoy that story with them, not to play against them. You're not trying to beat them, you're trying to add narrative to what they're doing. You're telling a story. It's a lot like playing guys, or joes, or men, or toys, or whatever you used to call it. I used to call it playing guys. And that's basically the same mentality that I followed over all these years, is that that's the way I played toys when I was growing up. We played guys. We had central characters that everybody played, and we had roles that everybody knew, and we had healers and things like that, and different people that were basically assigned to roles, and we knew what we were doing, and we would create bad guys, and we would tell story-driven narratives. So I'm very used to doing that kind of thing, and I carried that mentality over to D&D. But this guy here is one of my favorite things to use. I like fear wraiths, and I like things that affect the universe like this, because for me, with him, when he affects these characters, I wouldn't see him as anybody's friend. In fact, I would say that if he serves Skeletor, which, by the way, I understand the idea where people are going to come back at me on this, but remember, MOTU is malleable. MOTU is very malleable. We've talked about this many times, and I stick to that, and I believe that every iteration of MOTU is malleable. The toys are their own universe. The toys are their own universe, okay? It says right there on a lot of their stuff. The comic books, the mini comics are their own universe. Every single series is its own universe. This property has been malleable since day one. It's meant to be storytelling icons. This guy, avatar of the imagination, do with him what you will. And what would I do? It says, a walking horror from a different dimension, ScareGlow radiates fear and terrifies his victims. Personally, for me, this is one of my favorite things. He's Freddy Krueger. He's Freddy Krueger in the MOTU universe. Why do I say that? Because I don't believe this dude is any of their friends. I think if Skeletor commands him, it was only because he made an attempt on Skeletor before, and Skeletor, because of his understanding of the dark arts and wizardry of that nature, the darker side of magic, knew what he was and maybe holds something over him. I don't know what I would make in terms of that story. And later on in Classics, the Classics version of this guy did something that dealt with Grayskull, the actual castle, and is basically cursed and bound to the castle, if I'm not mistaken, and even carries this little item, like a lantern thing or whatever, that has a key in it that actually allows entrance into Grayskull, so he's kind of cursed. But this dude is a fear wraith. This dude is the Freddy Krueger of MOTU, and he is so unbelievably cool. If I have any complaint, because I've talked about how great he is, how much I love him, mine was, woo! That's really bad. That could affect me when I go to set him up in different places. I don't know yet if that will cause a problem. The other thing that does affect me a little bit is that his cape is solid. And so it's probably going to be heavy. It's going to affect some of the positions and whatnot he can take. But he's going to be real cool when I walk in here and I go to turn my lights on and everything like that, and he's just standing in the corner glowing. That is so cool that is an action feature that came with this character. And it's one that even as an adult all these years later, I can honestly, truthfully appreciate. It is really cool to know that this guy will glow on the shelf. And so I don't have much else to say, except for to tell you how I see that character, why he's interested me for so long, and why I think he's awesomely cool and I had to have him for the collection. I needed a ScareGlow, and I got him twice. I also have the Masterverse version, but we're not there yet. We have a couple more Origin figures to get through, and then we have to start unboxing all the Masterverse stuff. I believe we have 2 vehicles left in Origins to unbox, and then all of my Origin stuff will be ready for shelf. You just seen him fall down? You just seen him fall down? I think that's the weight caused by his cape. I really do. I think that was exactly what I was kind of worried about. Now, I didn't set him on exactly the most perfect surface there either. I sat him on top of his mini comic, but like, yeah, nothing is ever perfect. Figures are not ever perfect. You're always running a risk one way or another when you get these guys. But this guy, I'm sure that if I mess with him, I'll make him sturdy. He is really cool. And that's all I really got to say about ScareGlow. We still have a lot more stuff to open, but man, I'm just really happy to have him. He is so cool. Later on, guys.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.